Brian, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, Mary?
Keith Gidry,
Here.
Noel Curall, Mitch Daniels,
Here.
Brett DeRoche, and Scott Terrio,
Here.
Brian Martz, and Levee Rome,
Here.
and Monty Davis.
Here.
Mr. President, we have
All right, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, you've been presented the minutes of the last month's regular meeting. I'm looking for a motion to accept. Moved by Monty, second by Roland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, on my president's report, we have to consider and adopt the resolution 2024-05 for the millage rate for the 24 year. Moved by Matt, second by Mitch. All in favor?
I think it's a roll call.
Oh,
What we need to discuss.
you have the,
Yeah, so we have two property taxes that we collect. The first millage is the ad valorem tax that was voted on by the people in 1998. And last year we levied 4.86 mills of the 5 mills. So we had a choice to make to recommend to the board with the executive committee. And we could, by state law, levy up to 5.56 mills this year because of the reassessment that was done, because of the values of all the property dropped in our jurisdiction. And so we can increase our millage. That being said, discussing that with the executive committee, because the economy in our area is down and we felt that we could afford to take a small cut in our budget this year to relieve some of the burden of our residents, it's being recommended that for the ad valorem tax, we levy the same millage as last year, 4.86 mills. For the ad valorem, that would drop us about $210,000. For our Louisiana Constitution millage, that's another up to 5 mills we can levy. We levied the 5 mills last year, and if we keep that same millage rate, that would be a reduction of about $216,000 from that one. So collectively, it would be a reduction in our income from taxes to the tune of $426,704.88. That being said, we only budgeted about $4 million for sales tax, and already for the last year we're at about $6 million. So our sales tax revenue in our budget more than makes up for the deficit that we would have in our ad valorem. So discussing all that with the executive committee, it was recommended that the board adopt the same millage rates and give our residents a little relief. So that's what you guys would be voting on today.
resolution and then we'll adopt it.
all right. Be resolved, the following villages are hereby levied on the 2024 tax roll on all properties subject to taxation by the Lafourche levy district. Ad valorem 4.860 mills and construction and maintenance 5.000 mills. Be it further resolved that the proper administrative officials of the parish of Lafourche, state of Louisiana, be and they are hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to spread said taxes as here and above set forth upon the assessment roll of said parish for the year of 2024, and to make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to law, and that taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all properties subject to taxation as herein set forth, and collection therefore shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law. The foregoing resolution was read in full and the roll was called on adoption therefore, and the resolution was adopted with the following votes.
We'll do a roll call.
Yes.
Keith Gidry,
Yes.
Noel Curall. Yes. Mitch Daniels.
Yes.
Brett DeRoche is absent. Scott Terrio.
Yes.
Brian Martz.
Yes.
McNeely Rome.
Yes.
Monty Davis.
Yeah.
It is unanimous.
Thank you, guys. Moving on to the executive committee report, I'll let Nick report on that.
Sure. The executive committee met on September 3rd at 3 p.m. here at the office. The first discussion was the recent collision on Section E North that I'll discuss in my report in a minute. We also discussed the millage rate decision that was just voted on. We discussed Mississippi River Commission comments and that I made on August 23rd to the Mississippi River Commission, as well as a status meeting upcoming with the Army Corps of Engineers based on those comments and our concerns. And so the meeting was scheduled for last Friday. We've postponed that to September 16th. And that is largely going to be to discuss what our actual authorized elevations are. Because in 1965, we were authorized to only 13 feet on the south end, 8.5 feet on the north end, and that was mean sea level. That wasn't even in AVD 88, which is what we normally use. So there's a lot of confusion as to what we're actually authorized to, because that was based on the 100-year storm in 1965. When Morganza to the Gulf underwent its post-authorization change report, where Reach L of Morganza ties into Reach C, or Section C south of our levee system. Reach L is authorized to 22.5 feet, and we're only authorized there to around a 9 foot. So there's some definite concerns that we need the Corps to tell us how they're able to update those elevations. So that's what we'll be discussing on September 16th. Mississippi Valley Flood Control Association was also discussed. I'll be heading up to DC on September 23rd and 24th to meet with our congressional delegates on the language that's in the WRDA bill about our recertification process. And also Senator Cassidy's office is looking to schedule a meeting for us with FEMA to discuss what All South has been reporting on, that FEMA's been kind of at a standstill with our reimbursements from Hurricane Ida, because they believe that damages to the levee should be paid by the Corps, but we're not in the Corps' program, so we believe it should be paid by FEMA. And because there's been no back and forth, or we've done our part, but FEMA has not responded yet, the next step is to meet directly with them on the federal level and try to get some movement there. We also discussed a cooperative endeavor agreement with the state of Louisiana that you guys will be voting on a little later as part of my report, where we received $400,000 from the Capital Outlay Program. We also discussed the purchase of a bush hog to go along with our tractor. It was within my authority to purchase, but it was just under, so I felt more comfortable bringing it at least to the executive committee to discuss before just making that call. So we did decide to purchase that additional new bush hog. We also discussed the employee health insurance premiums for 2025. There's an increase of $43,806.90 from last year. It's about a 6.6% increase, which the $43,000 sounds like a lot, but the 6% itself was discussed as not necessarily being too horrible of an increase compared to other years. And then we also discussed a limestone road that we would need to repair on the Alain LeBreton Company property. This is when we did our D North levee improvements that was completed last year. Because of the fresh dirt and rain, the runoff from that project completely covered an existing limestone road there. So it's our responsibility to go and repair it. So we're going to be working on that pretty soon. So, Mr. President, that's the executive committee minutes.
Yeah. You got it? That's it? Okay. Anybody from the audience needs to address the board? Mr. Terrio?
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
Hey, here just Robert Terrio from Raceland, Louisiana. I just have a public service announcement. The Rotary Club here in Golden Meadow is having a shrimp boil-off on October the 5th. And of course, your next meeting is going to be after that date, so I wanted to announce it. If anyone's interested, contact a Rotary member. I also have flyers here, so raise your hand. I'll be glad to give you one after the meeting. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Thanks very much. Anybody else? Okay. Back to the executive director report.
All right, not on the agenda, but understandably so, I wanted to give an update on now Tropical Storm Francine. So this was the storm track forecast as of 7 a.m. this morning. Looking to hit with the track, probably hitting right around Youngsville by the time it makes landfall along that track. Here we have the previous 3 forecasted tracks along with the 1 p.m. update in the dotted line. And of course, our Levee District logo is pointing out where our system is. So you can see that over the last 3 advisories, it's slowly shifted further eastward. The earliest reasonable time of arrival of potential tropical storm force winds looks to be possibly sometime late tomorrow evening. But most likely arrival time not until Wednesday morning around 8 a.m. It's expected to make official landfall around 7 p.m. Wednesday. So tropical storm force wind speed probabilities were definitely in that graphic there, but if you look and you can see that we're only probably going to be around the 30 to 50% probability for tropical storm force wind speeds. We can zoom in a little closer, seeing here, as of the 1 p.m. advisory, we're looking at probably 40 to 50% tropical storm force winds, or strong tropical storm force winds rather. So that would be from about 59 miles an hour to 74 miles an hour where Category 1 storm would start. But then for weaker tropical storm force winds, which would be between 39 miles an hour and 58 miles an hour, that's only about a 5 to 10% probability. Or I had that backwards actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. So this is for strong tropical storm force winds, only a 5 to 10% probability. That would be over 58 miles an hour. For hurricane storm force winds, as of the 1 p.m. advisory, we're currently not in the expected path of hurricane storm force winds. So we're not anticipating Category 1 strength that would be 74 miles an hour or higher in our area. But obviously we want to prepare. The recommendation is that you always prepare for 1 category higher. So if we're not preparing for any winds, then we'd recommend preparing for a 1 or a 2 locally. So if you have the means to board up, it's definitely recommended for this storm. As far as storm surge forecasts, peak storm surge between Cameron Parish and Port Fourchon is expected to be somewhere between 5 to 10 feet, with the path looking right in the middle of that red area. And then between Port Fourchon and the mouth of the Mississippi, somewhere between 4 to 7. So around our system, we're looking anywhere from 4 to possibly 10 feet max of storm surge. So we're not anticipating having to close any of our road gates. We're going to continue to coordinate with the parish and state police on that though, especially as it gets closer. If it looks like there's a possibility of overtopping the roads, we'll definitely have our guys be preemptive and go and close those gates. Rainfall forecast, we're looking at possibly somewhere in the vicinity of 4 to 8 inches of rain over the next 5 days. And on top of the rain that we've received since last Thursday, it'll feel like more because the ground is so saturated, the rain's not going to have anywhere to go between us and the Barrow Canal. So, but as of this morning, the parish declared an emergency at 8 a.m. Our pump stations and our office fuel tanks were topped off today. We'll continue to get more fuel tomorrow as we continue to burn, pumping out of the system. We've been siphoning down by Lafourche since Wednesday. We'll continue to do so. We did have an 11 a.m. call this morning with National Weather Service and a 2 p.m. call just now with the parish and all the local agencies. There are not planned to be any mandatory evacuations in our system. The only mandatory evacuations issued are going to be south of the lock as of now, starting at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then anyone in other parts of the parish who are in low-lying areas or in trailers or other potentially unsafe structures. And 5 p.m. tomorrow, the parish is planning on opening the Lockport Community Center as a shelter. They're also going to have sandbags available for people to fill themselves. The elderly or disabled are able to get 25 filled sandbags, so those will be at the 12 typical locations throughout the parish. And so we're going to continue to monitor, and we'll advise, our residents accordingly, and we'll make a determination as we watch the GIWW when we're going to officially close the LaRose floodgate with no further openings. Right now, we're still on our schedule of 6 openings per day. And then even closer, when we're going to stop locking in vessels in Golden Meadow. But we're going to coordinate with the port and with the Coast Guard on that. Any other questions about the storm or our preparations? Okay. And I'll continue to keep you all updated through text as I've been doing. As we mentioned in the executive committee report, we did have a collision on section E North on Monday, August 26th, where we had a couple of our dump trucks that had already offloaded their dirt along this section of E North, heading back to the borrow pits here. We had the lead truck that was heading back, and then another truck that was following pretty close behind him. It had not rained in a while, so the road was very dusty. And as this first truck was kicking up dust, this second truck was completely lost in that dust cloud. And so another truck that was fully loaded from the borrow pits was heading this way, moved aside to the right for the first truck, and then moved back to the center of the road. Couldn't see the second truck, and that's where the head-on collision happened. The driver that had already offloaded his material that was following too close, he died in the accident, and then the driver who had the full load, who was injured, he was airlifted to university. Joe, have y'all heard any update on him? No, I'm not sure. So, but he seemed like he was going to be able to eventually make a recovery. But so we had fire department, we had sheriff's office, we had state police that helped the sheriff's office with the investigation, and then because there was a diesel spill as part of that crash, we had ES&H come and remove all the diesel and mitigate any spills there. So that's all been taken care of. Last week, the Corps of Engineers was on hand around our system to perform what's called a semi-quantitative risk assessment. This is all part of our efforts to get recertified and reinstated back into the rehabilitation inspection program. So the risk assessment team's job was to go around our system, look for risks that they thought could lead to potential flooding, and then to go back and input all that into their model system and let us know where they felt the highest risks were, what the most catastrophic version of those risks would be, and ultimately that'll help us not only in our recertification efforts to get our after-the-fact 408 permits, but really it'll help us internally to see where the Corps feels are our biggest weaknesses, and that'll give us a priority list of what to work on coming to the future. So we did notice a couple issues that I'll be getting with our engineers soon on. One is under our lock housing, there was a little opening that we could see straight under, but if this is on pilings, it may be a non-issue, so it was just something that they observed. We also noticed on the flood wall in LaRose, where the Corps had come and lifted, there are a few bolts missing. The assumption is that some local guys now have a few more fishing weights. But we're going to be replacing those in the near future. So that wasn't critical. It was just, they got down to noticing missing bolts. So they were very thorough, but very informative. They like what we're doing. This is a team that was comprised of mostly out-of-state folks, led by a team from the Jacksonville district. We also had folks from Colorado, Kentucky, and Indiana that all were experts in their particular fields that made up this group. So we were able to take them to a couple local restaurants while they were here too. So they got some down the bayou cooking. So in October, we're going to be meeting back with them at the New Orleans district to look at the results of their assessment that they're going through right now, and we'll see what the steps forward are there, and I'll be reporting back afterwards. And as mentioned earlier, I'll be up in DC on the 23rd and 24th for the Mississippi Valley Flood Control Association fly-in. I'll be meeting with our delegates, a couple members of the Senate and House Natural Resources Committees on the word-of-bill language, and Senator Cassidy's office is working on getting us that meeting with FEMA, so hopefully be able to get some traction there. And then the last item is something for you gentlemen to approve. We have a cooperative endeavor agreement on the agenda with the state of Louisiana to accept $400,000 of state capital outlay funding. This is to install digital gauges at all 6 of our pump stations, as well as our 2 gates, our flood gate in LaRose and our lock in Golden Meadow. This will tell us water levels inside and outside the system. It'll tell us wind speed, wind direction, rainfall, temperature at 8 different locations throughout our system. So we'll have that digitally that any of us can access through a website. The public will be able to access it, and it'll help us to have a better idea of, especially after storms, how high water got, and be able to manage more. Instead of having to physically go out to these locations to see where the water is and how we're doing, we'll be able to see at any given point. And it'll help us internally be able to know where to send our resources more efficiently. So that's for y'all consideration to adopt.
What's the time frame on that?
As soon as we get this agreement in hand, the money's going to be available to us. So by next meeting, I would like to be able to come to y'all with a design or authorization to advertise.
Okay.
Delta Coast Consultants has already kind of pieced together a proposal that we'll have to advertise for, because it'll be over the 250,000.
The data they're looking at the digital
Yeah. It'll be similar to the setup that they have for Terrebonne Levee District.
No cameras, this is just that equipment.
This is just that equipment, but our cameras that we can install
Okay.
will be able to utilize this data function, so,
Piggyback on that.
yep.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the general manager to accept the capital outlay money from the state. Moved by Mitch, second by Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you, gentlemen. And that completes my report.
Okay. Moving on to engineering report, CPRA. Daniel, you have anything?
Kind of emergency off mode right now, but
Okay.
nothing really specific.
Corps of Engineers, that's no one's here. Project Engineers, Pisciola and Associates. Joe.
Okay, on the Rose Lock project, we're continuing to support Nick in getting more funds for the project. We are currently working on the hydraulic study and on right-of-way plans. On E-North levee improvements, construction site special is the contractor. He hasn't really worked much since the accident. He's been working on crossovers at the Borrow Pit. Once he finished that, of course, it started raining really hard, so while it's raining, he really can't work. So we anticipate this week to be a washout, so hopefully sometime next week he'll be back at work. We do have pay application number 8 in the amount of $69,882 even. We do recommend you pay that.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay application number 8 to construction site specialties. Moved by Max, second by Monty. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
On Section A East levee improvements, this is from pump station number 4 down to the lock, the Golden Meadow lock. We have completed all the plans. We completed additional geotechnical work, and we have submitted all the information to CPRA, and they're reviewing it now. Once we have their approval, we'll go out for bid. And the repairs to the North Gate structure, TLP Construction Company LLC is the contractor. They completed this project, and they are still in the lien period. That lien period's coming up fairly soon. So they've submitted pay application number 2, which is an amount of $11,500 for the retainage, and that's, of course, pending approval of the receipt of the clear lien certificate.
So So we need.
So once you get the clear lien certificate,
Yeah.
you can automatically pay it.
Okay. All right, you've heard the recommendation, engineer. Pay application number 2 to TLP Construction in the amount of $11,500. Moved by Scott, second by Mitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And the repairs to pump number 1 at pump station number 2, Bowling Marine completed the project on August the 26th. In those couple of days, they installed it. And Bowling Marine helped us align everything. Everything's working properly. It looks good. So we'll be getting an invoice probably next month from them. And the repairs to the timber fender at the La Rose floodgate, this is due to damage caused by Crosby, one of their tugs. We created some plans and Crosby asked that they do the repairs. So we're in agreement with that. We're gonna let them come in and do the repairs and we're gonna monitor the work, make sure they do it correctly. And they should start within the next 2 weeks, is what we're getting.
You would have to pull them out and put some new ones, I guess.
Yeah. And the emergency gate closure at the La Rose floodgate, you approved that last meeting. And this is where we're gonna put in some winches to help you close the gate should the rope pop. And you have a flooding situation on the outside. So we've started the drawings, we've done all the topo work with our survey crew. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have some to approve and get some bids.
Cool. Okay, any questions for Joe?
Thank you.
Thank you. GIS engineering, John?
Oh, that's it. Coming with the money. Uh-huh. Proud. Look at him, like the big rooster with a big chest.
Yeah, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering. Since we have some money, Kevin chose not to come today. AE's Bayou Lafourche Water Retention Project, that is that project on the screen. We are working with Ryan Collins on the servitudes on that. We've been making progress over the last couple of weeks. I think he gave some information to Nick today. So hopefully in the next month we'll get the paperwork done, but we still need to finish those negotiations, I think, with the 5 property owners. The D North ramp lift, the material stockpile project, that project is continuing on. We've got pay application number 1 in the amount of $170,122.14 to Outer Limit Contractors, LLC. That is going to be out of a total of about $240,000 of work. But for right now, it's just the 170, 122, 14.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer, the application number 1, amount of $170,122.14 to Auto Limit Contract. Moved by Mitch, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And the next step for the ramp project itself is going to be actually meeting with Luke and seeing when they want us to get it done so we can coordinate that work. Moving on to the reconnection of Breton Canal to Bayou Lafourche, which is the weir right by South Lafourche High School. If you've noticed, they have started construction on there. They have not made quite as much progress as we had hoped, but they are making progress. We have pay application number 1 in the amount of $21,375 even to Garden Environments, Inc.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer, pay application number 1 in the amount of $21,375 to Garden Environmental. Moved by Mitch, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And finally, the desal flood wall at Crawfish Farm, Phase 3. We took bids last month on that project. We recommend awarding the contract to Sea Level Construction, Inc. in the amount of $883,880.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to award the contract to Sea Level. Moved by Mac, second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have for y'all today.
That's quick.
Didn't spend too much money.
I ain't collected, though. You didn't spend,
Okay,
you collect.
who's next? Angela.
Spending don't do me.
Sandy.
Collected.
Hope you don't want money.
That's off.
Oh, look like you got some money in.
Send the B team in. Sandy Idris Angela Design for C North levee improvements. This is where Campo and Sons is elevating the levee to 13.5. We are recommending the approval of invoice number 1297 in the amount of $20,325.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer, pay Compo and Sons, $20,325. Moved by Monty, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
For the C South flood-side repairs, they're continuing the work to rebuild the flood-side berm, as well as hauling materials from the area behind the shooting range. We have a few invoices on this one. We recommend approving invoice 1299 in the amount of $48,827.50. Do you want me to name them all now, or?
I guess we have to do it in a time. One at a time. Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay invoice 1299 at Compo and Sons in the amount of $48,827.50. Moved by Mitch, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And just as a reminder, the flood side repairs are being submitted to FEMA for reimbursement because this is due to damage from debris removal operations from Hurricane Ida.
Are we finished with the nighttime stuff? Hauling over there at night? Behind the shooting range? We are?
I think so. I can get Neil to confirm that.
Yeah.
We are.
Let me know.
Okay.
You finished? Oh, good.
And we have invoice number 1300, also for Campo and Sons, in the amount of $8,950.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer, pay invoice number 1300 to Compo and Sons in an amount of $8,950. Moved by Mitch, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
And the final invoice for this project for Campo and Sons that we recommend approving is number 1303 in the amount of $53,392.50.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay invoice 1303, Compo and Sons, $53,392.50. Moved by Mac, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
For the LaRose flood wall vessel impact barrier, Lowland Construction has completed the project and we're still in clear lien. This is section F, berm improvements. Sea level construction is continuing with work on the project to improve the protected side berm. We recommend approval of application for payment number 11 in the amount of $161,560.61.
Okay, my thing shows application number 1, but it's 11.
Yeah, application number 1, 161,560.61.
You've heard the
Oh,
Shouldn't be
I'm sorry.
No, it should be 11.
Our report says 11.
Okay, so it's 11, guys.
It's 11.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay application number 11 to Sea Level Construction in the amount of $161,560.61. Moved by Max, second by Monty. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Anything for Sandy?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Delta Coast, anybody from Delta Coast? Okay, we got all south.
Melanie Cayuet with All South Consulting Engineers. On the Reach K terrace repair, this is from Hurricane Barry. FEMA's willing to pay up to 10,000 linear feet to be repaired. We originally looked at repairing about 8,000 feet that was no longer at the +2 elevation. Those repairs have been completed, and cross-sections on 10 of the 12 terraces have been taken and verified to be over the +2. Because we had some extra linear footage that FEMA was willing to pay, we added 2 more, which are the ones in red. And those we decided, because they were more narrow than their counterparts, that we would also build those back up. So right now on those 2, the Terrebonne Levee District has clear and grubbed them, and as soon as we can get through this storm, they'll get back out there and start building those up. On Reach K Levee South, the south section is below the south water control structure. The area south of the access gate toward punishing a floodgate is at a +12. The section going north from the access gate to the first water control structure is at a +11, with the exceptions of 2 areas, which with the storm coming up, we have, the contractor is on site and we have stockpiled material to close those gaps. On the center section, they have started working there, and right now the lowest section that we have is around a +8. They're actually tracking material in as we speak to bring that up to at least a +9. And as they back out of there, they're going to build everything up as high as they possibly can on their way out. Our narrowest section in this area is where Discovery Pipeline is. And we are working with Discovery Pipeline to get permission to bring that area up in the long term, hopefully up to the +11 as well. And that's all of my report.
Okay, any questions? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Legal permits and right-of-way, Mitch, anything?
We got 4 this month. We got the Greater Lafourche Port Commission and Shell Pipeline Company and Terrebonne Levee and Conservative District and Tulane University. After reviewing these permits, looking the board to approve the 4 permits.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our chairman to approve these permits. Moved by Monty, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Board Attorney, anything? Okay, anything? Finance Committee, Monty?
Okay, Mr. President, we, Finance Committee met and we recommend all invoices be paid as approved, as presented.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of our Finance Committee Chairman to pay all our bills. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Matt. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Insurance Committee, Scott?
Yeah, with the current moratorium, we're going to defer our recommendation to the next meeting.
Okay. All right, Personnel Committee.
Okay,
Monty?
Personnel Committee, we are trying to fill a position of mobile equipment operator number 1. We filled that position with Wes Abear. The committee would like board approval on that hiring.
Okay, guys, you've heard the recommendation of our Personnel Committee Chairman to approve the hiring of Mr. Wes Abear. Moved by Brian, second by Mac. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any old business? Any old business? Any new business? No need for executive? Okay. A motion? I'll move. Moved by Monty, second by Mac, that we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.